All right, so you heard me mention about my delinquency of studenthood during the summer quarter of '66. Uh, and the reason being, besides the bike, um, I started procrastinating homework well before Columbus. That was a habit in high school, possibly even junior high school. But I got pretty good at it in high school. I would brew an entire pot of coffee. It was just an old percolator pot, a plug-in from GE. Take it upstairs. I'd have to sneak it upstairs because my mother wouldn't have me staying up all night, pulling all-nighters like I intended to do 3 or 4 times a semester. But I thought I could get away with that last minute type of study surge in college, and no, I couldn't. My brain couldn't. Plus, college was different from high school as far as the concept of how to study. But the last nail in that coffin was when I allowed myself to oversleep once and therefore skip class. Once you do that once, you don't ever stop doing it. And for the rest of my college career, I don't think I went a single semester or quarter with 100% attendance. It's just the way it was. So finals week comes around, late August, and I thought I was doing the best I could, and I probably didn't even understand how to answer the questions. So I got and I was informed of this by my dad over the phone because he paid the bills. The grades went to him. I told you I had three subjects: history, English, and botany. Definitely got an F in botany. Think I got the D was in English and the C was in history, or vice versa. Turns out 15 quarter hours, 0.333 GPA. Now back then, if you didn't exceed a 2.0, you couldn't go on to your third year. You had 2 years to at least keep your average above a 2.0. And that was just for the general courses. That had nothing to do with major courses. So, my dad was pretty disappointed. He had a good way of making that clear. And of course, my mom was disappointed because my dad was disappointed. But gave it one more try. Because I'd gone summer quarter, there was a break of about a month, September, before the regular season began, the academic season. And I hadn't flunked out. I still was a student. So I just rolled on through and enrolled fall quarter, went to a different dorm, had different roommates, had a girlfriend, and was really enjoying college life. Most of my friends were from Cleveland. I was enjoying getting to know, especially the east side of Cleveland, Cleveland Heights, Shaker Heights, South Euclid. Most of my friends were Jewish. And of course, there's a scattering of small town people in the dorms like myself. So it was all interesting. I met some interesting folks, but I still continued my exploration. This time I explored High Street at night and spent more time I didn't go into Larry's bar too much because I really didn't have the money to drink. And at Char Bar, I could really just hang out. If I wanted to sip on a coffee, I could, or nibble on a bagel, I could, and just stand there all night and just study people because It was a sight. It was like being in a Manhattan bus station. So, didn't do that much better, but I had, oh, get this, I had taken 15 hours summer quarter. Fall quarter, I took 20 hours. Not only that, I was invited to pledge a fraternity. So I'd try that. And then, hey, I need some money. So I got a job at the library, at the main library, in something called the Rare Book Room. And it was right next to the periodicals room. And just like the name would imply, the Rare Book Room was had some treasures in it that generally were not allowed to be taken out unless there was maybe a full professor or somebody. But there are a lot of faculty and grad students in and out of there. The periodical room had everything, had commercial magazines, it had academic journals, and that's how I discovered Evergreen Review. That's how I discovered some arts magazines like Avant Garde and Art Forum and things like that. And so, and here I am, I'm just a clerk working there, and I have a lot of time on my hands to leaf through some of these magazines and stuff. So that was quite a wide open education for me too. So I'm continuing to build up my my internal library without really increasing my likelihood of being a successful student. So I told you that I got a job. I kept it as long as I possibly could. In fact, I kept it till finals week, I think. Told you I'd pledged a fraternity. Well, by the end of the quarter, that was history. I didn't need that. It was when they asked for money, because they were selling memberships and selling tickets to belong. And I decided I didn't need to belong, and I needed the money. And what else had I done? Oh yeah, 4 different courses. So I remember one of them was zoology. And I was doing pretty poorly going into finals week because I still hadn't learned how to be a student. And the grad student that taught us, because this is introductory zoology, and again, I love to learn. I'm learning instead of plants in botany, I'm learning about animals now. Isn't that neat? My instructor shared with me what it would take for me to pass the course, what I would have to get to in terms of the final exam. Because this wasn't a course that required homework to be turned in. There were quizzes, and there was a final exam, and your grade was based on that. So I'm listening to her, I'm very attentive, and she quotes some number that sounded like advanced math. It didn't make sense to me because it was beyond 100. And I says, I don't get it. How do I get a test? How do I get a score of beyond 100? And she says, you don't. You can't. So we're in agreement. I know I can't. So what are you telling me? What do I have to do to pass this course? She says, well, you can't. You cannot. You're going to fail this course. And I go, well, what's the point of me taking the test? She goes, you must take the test. I go, I'm going to fail. She goes, yeah. And her logic made sense to hers, and mine certainly didn't make any sense to me. So I did not take the course anyway. So that was a 0. I probably took English because it was only my second quarter, and I probably got a C or a D in English. I don't know what else I took. Zoology, English. I might have taken another history course. Ended up, 3 of them were failures and 1 was a C or a D. So I officially now have failed I have flunked out of Ohio State University.